Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Axel's Garage. We're out here again, yet another video working on Robbie's K5 Blazer. And that big dummy is behind the camera today. And what we're doing is we're getting everything set up to bolt up the front bumper. Now, we're also putting a front receiver hitch in, and that's primarily what this video is about. So we got a front receiver hitch made specifically for a K5 Blazer. This is by Warren, and I'll put a link in the description below. But this seems to be one of the only ones we can easily find that brand-wise that is still in production for the K5s. Now, to mix things up a bit, we're also, remember, we're adding the military-style CUCV bumpers. And they have giant bumper brackets in the middle section as far as the width goes, because they're going to have recovery points built into them. These brackets are a lot wider than those brackets that are on the original bumper. You can see it's like 1/4-inch steel, or maybe a little less, 3/16-inch steel. So the original bolts went through that bracket, went through the chassis, and went through the factory tow hooks. Now we're adding the front bumper, the front receiver hitch, and the factory tow hooks, and the CUCV recovery points. So we had to get some custom hardware from the local hardware store, and we went with all grade 8 hardware. This way we won't have rust issues, and we have enough strength for those recovery points and for the front receiver hitch. So we're going to move everything over to the front of the Blazer, and we'll hopefully get it all assembled pretty easily. So now this receiver hitch is going to lay inside the frame rails, and you can see right over here there's an extra support inside the frame rail for the leaf spring perches, and there's going to be a gap there. So what you need to do is put spaces in and use washers as spaces, and 3 of these hardened washers, grade 8 washers, take up about the same amount of space. So we know we're going to at least need 3. Also, the receiver hitch isn't direct fit in, as far as, I mean, it's direct bolt in, but there is a little slop from side to side, and what the directions say is to use washers that come in the kit as spacers. We're not going with the washers in the kit because those are all grade 5 hardware that's going to rust. We're going to use the grade 8 hardware. So we'll get this up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see side to side there is some room in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with those 3 washers up top. We're going to throw a bolt through just to hold it in place until we can figure out exactly where we want to be. Alright, so that's going to be our top one. Put this bracket on. So this bracket is going to fit on top. The bolt is going to go through this bracket, and then it's going to need at least 3 washers before it gets to that one. Alright, so what I have is this extra piece of metal is 3 washers. So up here I got 6, up here I got the 3 in that piece of metal, and then 3. So now I could put this on here, and I could see if the hitch itself is centered from side to side. I still need to put the tow hook here, but I'm not putting it there just yet, so I'm going to put a bunch of washers so that I don't tighten it down to the shaft. And what I want to do is just spin this on and snug it to see how much of a gap we have on the other side. Okay, so that's 6 and 3. And now if I come to the other side, and if I could do the same thing on this side at 6 and 3, then I know I'm dead square in the middle. So 3 looks like at least 4. So I'm going to have to add 1 and 1 up here before I worry about this size. Alright, so on this side we got 7 on top, 4 on the bottom. On this side we can't fit the 4, and we got 6 on top, which is as close as we're going to get it to being centered. So now, slide this bracket over, then the tow hook, or the recovery hook, whatever you call it. And this is the factory hook. And for those really paying attention, you'll notice that we did paint everything. Even the brand new one hitch, we scuffed it and sprayed it with Eastwood's satin chassis black. So now that we know we're in the right spot, before we start tightening everything down, okay, we're going to put a little bit of white grease on the threads. Alright, we lube those threads to be nice for the next guy. So you know what I say, Robbie? Right? The next guy may very well be you. Okay. Come in there. That'd be the shitty ratchet.
Don't you have a fancy new tool?
It's not the ratchet. Are these bolts right? Did you get the right bolts, Robbie? Alright, so off camera, we thought the, you saw at the end of that last clip, we thought the ratchet was skipping because the gear in this ratchet is a little messed up. Well, it wasn't. We had bad nuts. I don't know if the nuts are bad, but they thread on like they fit, but they're sloppy. And when Robbie went to the hardware store, he didn't realize they were sloppy in there. And even the sample that I gave him, this is the sample I gave him, it screws on so nice. I thought that that was it, but see that little wiggle? That ain't the right size. So I went through my bin and I found this old hardened one that I had, this grade 8 that's been painted, and look at that. Look at how nice and snug that is, right? So we need 4 of these. In the meantime, just so that we don't have to take all this off and it could stay in place, I put the nuts on that came with the hardware kit and tighten them up this way it doesn't rattle on him, and we could just leave everything on. So now that we have the hitch centered, installed, we got the 2 bumper brackets installed, the tow hooks installed, and we got the 1 side bumper bracket, I'm going to put that other side bumper bracket on, and then this week, when we're not doing anything, I'm going to sand and refinish the brush guard. Hopefully by the end of the week we can get the brush guard and the bumper on and this thing looking good. Drop a comment below, hit that like button, feed the YouTube algorithm, and as always, thanks for watching.